on Serge that has overloaded the time matrix. And Crichton replies, no, sir, you've just been jabbing it too hard.
You're a genius.
And I think that's a bit like analysing Trump.
You're a genius. Did you do that from memory?
No.
You've got it written down in front of you.
It's not Mystery Hour. I Googled it.
Yeah, you are allowed to Google when we're not in Mystery Hour.
James O'Brien asked his listeners a question this week that I think is the most important question in politics right now. Are we wasting our time analysing Trump's policies when we should be analysing his personality? Because here is the thing. The EU offered 0 for 0 tariffs on industrial goods before any of this kicked off. Trump said no, not enough. 0 tariffs are not enough. How do you analyse that with conventional economics? How do you explain a 104% tariff on China, meaning you have to pay for imported goods twice and then pay 3% on top using normal political frameworks? The answer one caller gave on this show was that you cannot. And he backed it up with a Red Dwarf quote that is genuinely one of the most accurate descriptions of Trump I have ever heard. This is Fool's Ballot. Subscribe if you are not already there. Now let us get into it.
Jennifer is in Eastleigh. Jennifer, what would you like to say?
I would like to say that I think it's just he loves the power, that he gets off on the power, and how much power has he got? He says something and the whole world crumbles beneath his feet.
So he'll be enjoying this?
He's loving it. I think he's absolutely loving it.
You can only really, I think, understand things if you could imagine, on some level, being in the shoes of the person to whom it is happening. So it doesn't matter whether it's a tragedy or a crime, or whether it is a sporting triumph or a political moment. And he is so odd that I can't imagine. Can you, sitting in the Oval Office, enjoying what is going on? It doesn't mean it's not what's happening, but we can't emotionally grasp that personality type.
Have you ever, what about arsonists come to mind? People that serial arsonists, they set something on fire, then they come back and watch.
I'll tell you what, you're making me think that the question I'm actually asking this morning is about whether we're wasting our time on politics when we should be focusing on personality.
Well, I think so. It's not about politics at all. It's about power.
And how he feels in the moment.
Yeah.
And you think he's currently feeling good?
Yeah, he's feeling strong, powerful.
Yeah, I mean, if a life without conscience, without an inner voice, a life without shame, a life without any concept of consequences. To go back to Joe in North Cheam, I think the attitude to bankruptcies is really overlooked. I'll push it, I'll milk it, and if it all goes wrong, I'll walk away and leave someone else with the bill. And he's treating the United States of America like he treated his casinos.
Yeah. I mean,
take the money out, enjoy the chaos, and if it all goes wrong, walk away. I mean, there it is. Are we wasting time on politics when really we should be focusing on personality? And I'm wary of this, largely because none of us, or very few of us, are actually qualified to describe what they're seeing with Trump. And yet, even as I say those words, I remember that mental health nurse who rang in really early doors before the tariffs had even been, they'd been announced. They hadn't been implemented. When they were, of course, announced, everybody clever was queuing up to tell us to ignore him. Don't worry about what he says, just worry about what he does. The stupidest people of 2025. But the mental health nurse who rang in and said he'd come across incidences of narcissistic personality disorder in his life, in his 30-odd-year career, and he'd only encountered 2 or 3 people who had it on anything like the scale that Donald Trump appears to have it. I wonder if we need to try to describe what that means, how that translates into the kind of behaviour that we're seeing. Threatening 50% tariffs, extra tariffs today on China would mean that they had a 103% tariff, which means that China, to import something from China into the United States, you have to pay for it twice. And then a little bit on top, 3% on top. I mean, an intervention of such obvious madness that understanding its implementation probably involves understanding madness rather than understanding markets. 104% tariff. I beg your pardon. Crucial difference. But that's bonkers, right? And the EU said, and again, this is stuff you might have missed because you're lucky you don't have to do this for a living. I'm joking. Wouldn't do anything else. Except possibly playing golf, Kidderminster Harriers. But luckily we've got a good one at the moment. The European Union offered 0 for 0 tariffs before this announcement was even happened. This has subsequently emerged. It's emerged overnight. He's been asked about it in the Oval Office. Ursula von der Leyen said, OK, on industrial materials, on industrial equipment, will do 0 for 0. And they said no. And they asked him about that today and said, is that not enough? And he said, no, it's not enough. So fairness is not enough. You see what I mean? How do you analyse that unless you have an understanding of the personality? And yet, I'm not going to lie to you, it feels a little bit like surrender in terms of what I do for a living. It feels a little bit like giving up. Oh, don't worry about the politics. It's all about the personality and quite possibly, not the mental health, but the diagnostic disorder, what it is that explains why he's doing what he's doing. And that's pretty close to where John Bolton goes this morning. And it's where I've gone with the petty, simplistic, vindictive. John's in Oakley. John, what do you think?
I've known a few people like him, but they've never won a popularity contest that has thrusted them into the most important job.
Well, that's why he's unique in a way, isn't it? Because enough people are persuaded that he is all the things he says that he is.
But he is, because people have allowed him to be, but he's got no talent. He doesn't seem to be particularly smart. I just think he's an idiot. And every time I hear. Every time he makes this, it was 2 weeks ago. Sorry, I'm jumping. I'm doing a Trump. I'm jumping from one thing to another.
What does he call it?
The weave.
The weave. Yeah. Go on. You weave away, John. I've done a bit of weaving this morning. You fill your boots.
The largest security breach in the history of the United States was 2 weeks ago. We've not even mentioned it today. That's insane. What I think when I think about Trump, if you'd allow me to, I can't quote literature from 100 years ago, but from Red Dwarf.
Yes, go on.
The time drive was frozen. Rimmer asks, do you think it's because of the subspace conduits have locked with the transponder calibrations and caused a major tachyon surge that has overloaded the time matrix? And Crichton replies, no, sir, you've just been jabbing it too hard.
You're a genius.
And I think that's a bit like analysing Trump.
You're a genius. Did you do that from memory?
No.
You've got it written down in front of you.
It's not Mystery Hour. I Googled it.
Yeah, you are allowed to Google when we're not in Mystery Hour. I'd be lost with that. Do that again, will you? Just do that again slowly so that I can sort of clip it up later.
The time drive had frozen, and Rimmer asks, do you think it's because the subspace conduits have locked with the transponder calibrations and caused a major tachyon surge that has overloaded the time matrix? Crichton replies, no, sir, it's just you've been jabbing it too hard.
So we're stroking our chins, and it is just the case of petty, simplistic.
He's just an idiot. He'll be on to the next thing in 2 weeks, and people won't be talking about the time.
Yeah, but that's why he's also a genius. That's why he's also a genius, because no one else can do this. No one else can do this. Whatever you want to call it.
People could do it, but they'd have to have no soul.
Yeah.
No care for anyone. No care for the person who's just retired, and they're looking at they're weighing up their options for their pension, how they're going to live the rest of their life, and they've just, I don't know, they've got a few £100,000. Now they've got less.
Yeah.
He don't care.
He doesn't, does he? He doesn't care.
The veterans that he's laid off.
Yeah. Doesn't care. The people nothing matters. Nothing but except what? Except what? What matters to him?
That he's the man.
Is that it?
That people are bowing down to him.
Everyone's looking at me. Everyone's bending the knee. Everyone's talking about me. I want to be the biggest reality television show of all time is what I want to be.
World leaders and kings are coming to me wanting good tariff deals. That's what he wants. He wants a third state visit. I don't know.
So you've brought... that is one of my favourite contributions to the programme in a very long time, John. And I'm just going to spoil it slightly by saying there is no need to say I'm not quoting literature from 100 years ago. It's Doug Naylor, isn't it? And Rob, I forget the name of the second writer, which is bad of me because I've met him. But really good art, whether it's a television comedy or whether it's a Shakespeare play, tells us truths about humanity, and you've just absolutely smashed that truth. We're all sitting here wondering whether it's the subspace conduits or whatever it was, and it is just the case that we're watching a bull in a china shop. We're watching a toddler having a massive tantrum. There's still another dimension to it, which is how he gets away with it and why he is so, quote, good at it.
Well, you can't end the show there. You've got to carry on, James.
Well, you see, you're doing it all now. You're producing me as well. And the other thing you've done when you talked about a soul is, should we be talking about priests, doctors and priests, or clerics, rabbis, imams, rather than economists and analysts or holodecks? Or there's that Star Trek or Red Dwarf. John, mate, absolute top of the class today. That is it. I'm almost going to have to get that printed out so I can read it back myself. But that simple imagery of people sitting around stroking their chins, as opposed to choking their shins, which I nearly said, stroking their chins, trying to work it out. And maybe that is hey, come here a minute. Maybe that is part of the answer to the question of how he gets away with it. Because we're still sitting there trying to work out how on earth he got away with the security breach, and he's just introduced tariffs. And you can sit there and stroke your chin and say, I think you'll find he's only introduced the tariffs to distract attention away from the security breach. But that's not true. The answer to how both things happened will be the same. And it is probably not very complicated. Steve's in Manchester. Steve, what would you like to say?
Good morning, James. I've been scribbling notes while I've been on hold. I hope I can make some sense of it. I wanted to return back to the mental health thing. I have worked in mental health, but I'm not supremely qualified, and that's not the basis of my calling. Well, I mean, we can look through lenses, and I agree with everything that's been said so far.
Yeah.
The reality show lens, WWE, the mobster lens, the con man lens. But there's a thing in psychiatry and psychology called the the Goldwater Rule, okay?
Yeah.
It goes back to the 1960s, which sort of makes it official that it's taboo to diagnose someone without being in a clinical setting.
Okay.
However, it is, you can look that up, the Goldwater Rule. It's Goldwater as in the US politician, funnily enough.
Barry.
But it's been challenged by a succession of professionals. The most notable is, or the one who led the charge on this, is called Bandy Lee, B-A-N-D-I is her first name.
Okay.
Lee is the surname. And there's a couple of similar professionals called John Gartner and Harry Siegel who do a YouTube show. I know that sounds a bit...
We're going to run out of time with all the name checks. So the Goldwater Rule, in a nutshell, tells us that we shouldn't do what we're about to do, but we're going to.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Because he's the most filmed person in history. So, dementia. They say he's got narcissistic personality or disorder, which is hardly a contentious thing to sort of say.
No.
But also that he has advancing dementia. Now, his niece is called Mary Trump. You may be aware of her. She's a clinical psychologist.
Right.
And she'll go along with all this. And the examples of what demonstrate the dementia, there's a thing called anemic aphasia, which is this sort of slurring of words and not quite completing words properly, which were more prevalent during the campaign, probably when he was more stressed, especially at night time, because he's also an addict. We have to remember this isn't particularly contentious. There's a guy called Noel Kassler who used to work with him on The Apprentice, who testifies that he's an Adderall user. And Adderall is amphetamine. I've used Adderall because I've got ADHD, as you can probably tell by the way I'm talking, right? So basically, later at night, it's bad, and he used to do all his campaign rallies in the last campaign. He tried to do them earlier. So the main punchline of what I'm trying to say, James, and it's very serious and it's very disturbing, and I don't know what to do about it. The guy is genuinely mad. It's not just colloquially mad. It is the genuinely mad king. And he has dementia. His father had dementia. That's what the weed is all about. That's why he keeps banging on about.
How then? And I guess, and I'm enjoying this conversation, and you're not going to believe this, but someone actually mentioned Bandy Lee in a text about 2 minutes before you came on. So
there you go.
Proof once again of the calibre of my callers, or that we're all singing from a similar hymn sheet. The question then becomes, how does he get away with it?
I think people have been, whether they like him or not, people have been sort of subdued into
we're losing the phone line. I'll give you a chance, but
okay.
Be warned.
People have been subdued. I think people have just become in awe either of how much they like him for various stupid reasons, or because of how They just can't get a grip on how mad he is. It's so colossal. And I think that probably goes back to the reality TV thing. Because, of course, nothing is less real than reality TV. But because he played a business person on TV...
Everyone thinks he is this business genius. And in the great... And I've had a couple of unfortunate experiences on television myself, but in the great annals of things that never should have happened, putting him in that role where he could cast himself as a business genius may have been one of the greatest mistakes in the history of Western democracy. Steve, you're on top form this morning, and I'm grateful to you. Pat is in San Pedro in Spain. Pat, what would you like to say?
Hola, James. Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome.
James, I mean, this thing about what happens next, I'd like to address that if I can very quickly.
Yeah, of course.
But just before, there's just something I want to round off from your previous hour's conversation.
But it's kind of carrying on anyway, Pat, so you fill your boots.
Yeah, it's probably a good segue. This whole thing, everyone gets caught up in the typhoon that is Trump, and we're all trying to understand him, what happens next. And I think we all know that he doesn't know what happens next, so how the hell have we got a chance? And I think... Is it Kidderminster your hometown, James?
It is indeed, yes.
So imagine this. Real Madrid come up with a new tactic and they sign a great big 6'11" clod-hopping centre-forward from Kidderminster Town's second team.
Yeah.
They play him in the Champions
League. Don't really have a second team. But anyway, sorry, that's me splitting hairs. Carry on. Go on then.
So they bang him into the penalty area. All the corners come raking in. All the defenders are around the giant, while all the playmakers just get the ball and just slide it in.
Yeah.
That, to me, is who Trump is to the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025. He is the perfect fire that they set to get people to run to try and put out while they get on with their long-planned dastardly deeds, as it were. So,
and he's not perfect. He's not perfect because he's unpredictable and self-obsessed, but he's the best available.
He's the best. He's actually more than that. I think he's the best applicable because of his vicissitudes. He makes so much noise that makes people look away.
Down to the ground. Yes.
Yeah, it's perfect for them. It's absolutely.
Did you hear the caller?
So,
Did you hear the sort of gasp in his voice when he said it's 2 weeks since the signal? And everyone listening goes, "Oh my days, 2 weeks!" Which is why my trail this morning, the little clip they played towards the end of Nick's show, simply said, "Can this really go on for 4 more years?"
Well, I think with Trump it probably can't. That's another side to this story. This story really is all about those dark masters at the Heritage Foundation Project 25. So it's your Curtis Yarvins, it's your Peter Thiels, that long streaky...
Thiel, apparently. I mispronounced that. I've been corrected. I'm sure I got corrected when I said Thiel to Thiel, and now I've said Thiel and everyone's saying Thiel. Do we know what it actually is, Pat?
Well, I would change it to another word, but we're on
Teal.
Radio.
No, don't do that. It's me that gets punished. Teal. We're running with Teal for the time being. And to be clear, we do have a B team. I don't want to get thrown out of Agborough next time I'm there. I just thought it was an amusing interruption. So
and that it from every direction here.
That explains Vance. That explains Vance. Vance is there as the heir apparent.
Sir, that's exactly what I was coming on to. I was just going to mention another one of the Dark Masters, and that's that awful Stephen. What's his name?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. He
Miller.
looks like
Miller.
Stephen Miller, the dark progeny of a threesome between Gollum, Goebbels, and Putin. An appalling man. But he's part of that inner sanctum. These are the guys that have been working on this and planning this. Now, Vance, he is I hate to apply this word to Vance, but he is the intellectual that they intend to put in place when Trump implodes or when they choose to explode Trump. So he's part of the plan, and that's why you've seen this guy have this, sort of Damascene change event from calling Trump Hitler to actually espousing...
Because they promised him the earth. They promised him the earth.
They promised him the earth, and he sees that the plan here... Project 2025 is already underway. There's no way Trump would have done as much as he's done in 2 months. I mean, that's far beyond any of his very limited capabilities. So this has all been in train, and they are looking to completely disassemble, everything that's happening with the tariffs, everything that's happening with, cancelling the Department of Education, all of the Doge layoffs with Musk. It's all there to completely crumble the US into a pile of dust that they can reform to something else. Now, that something else is an oligarchy. That something else is not about the public good at all. It's all about
what people won't know, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what
Not
people
at all.
won't know is that they don't hide it. I mean, the more you dig into this, and you clearly have dug into it, for the record, more than I have, but phrases like anti-equality and anti-democratic are not controversial in the circles you're describing. Anti-democracy is the point. I mean, Thiel has said democracy.
Made it fashionable.
Yes, democracy is the problem. It's this idea. It makes me think of, I don't know, I keep referring back to novels, things that haunt me from novels. Like, people living on the street. I mean, abject, epic poverty beyond anything.
Dystopia.
Yes, but I know we have homeless people living on the street, but I mean, people who had a job. I'm going to tie myself in knots in what I'm trying to describe, but the acceptance of poverty, that line from the hymn.
I so agree with you. I so agree. Yeah. And it's not only the acceptance of it, it's let it happen, but don't let it happen anywhere where we can see or feel it. And we're not responsible for it. So let it go into create its own sort of nest somewhere, and we don't have to worry about it. And what worries me even more, James, even if we go beyond the whole sort of tariff thing and what comes next there, what worries me more is this huge rise in Gen Z who are saying that they prefer to go to the right. They prefer a dictator. There was a recent survey done in the UK.
It wasn't quite as scary as it was. It wasn't quite as scary as you were told. The more you dug into that, the less accurate the headline actually was. But there's a direction of traffic that is of profound concern, and it's tied in some ways to the manosphere, to the Andrew Tate. So-called influencers.
Which is also tied to the financial crash in 2008 and then COVID. I mean, everything that politicians have done in almost every nation has told people that we are not for you, we're not helping you, we're only making it worse. And little wonder that Gen Z's gone that way, and little wonder that a poorly educated America across all age strata can gather that way as well to help to make this Project 2025 thing work.
Well, there it is. And there's everybody's homework for today. And it is worth digging into. I'd also introduce you, perhaps, not Pat, I sense, but perhaps a few people will be unaware of the word dominionists. I rely on Emma, who's one of my most tireless correspondents, to keep me up to speed with some of this, but I don't know the half of it because it sometimes sounded fanciful. And yet, what word would you have used to describe 5 years ago even? Never mind 10 years ago, before Brexit even happened, predictions of where the West has gone in the last decade. If someone had told you of the things that would happen. Oh, yeah, I'll tell you what, we'll have a Prime Minister who'll send someone to the Queen to lie, and we'll treat him like a messiah. We'll trust him with everything. That's just on this side of the Atlantic. Hop over the other side of the Atlantic and describe what's happened. January the 6th being perhaps the biggest flashpoint, although where we are now is in danger of overtaking it. Fanciful wouldn't touch the sides, would it? You'd say bat. I can't say that on the radio. You would reach for a much stronger word than fanciful. If someone had described in 2016 what is happening, or 2015 what is happening now, you'd have thought that they'd completely taken leave of their senses. But some people have joined some of the dots, and most of the lines, when the dots are joined, lead back to, as Pat has pointed out, Project 2025 and dominionists. It makes sense of a lot of the stuff that's weird, up to and including the United States moving its embassy in Israel. But even as I say those words out loud, I think I'm sounding bonkers, right? And that's the word you would have used in 2015 to describe anyone who has accurately or has turned out to be right in the predictions that they...
Let us start with the Red Dwarf moment, because it is genuinely brilliant, and it deserves to be taken seriously as political analysis rather than just enjoyed as a funny radio moment. John from Oakley quoted Crichton's response to Rimmer's overcomplicated theory about why the time drive had frozen. Rimmer asks whether it is because the subspace conduits have locked with the transponder calibrations and caused a major tachyon surge that has overloaded the time matrix. Crichton says, no, sir, you have just been jabbing it too hard. And John's point is that this is exactly what we are all doing with Trump. We are sitting around, stroking our chins, building elaborate theories about negotiating strategy and political calculation and long-term vision, when the actual answer is much simpler. He is just jabbing it too hard. There is no master plan. There is no 7-dimensional chess. There is a man with no inner voice, no shame, no concept of consequences, and no care for anyone but himself, doing whatever makes him feel powerful in the moment, and walking away when it goes wrong, exactly as he did with his casinos, exactly as he is doing with the United States of America. O'Brien's casino analogy is the one I keep coming back to. Push it, push it, push it, milk it, milk it, milk it. And if it all goes wrong, walk away and leave someone else with the bill. He has done this repeatedly throughout his business career. Multiple bankruptcies, multiple creditors left holding the losses, multiple times walking away from the wreckage with his name still on the building. And now he is doing it with the most powerful economy in the world. The 104% China tariffs, the rejected 0 for 0 EU offer, the decimated 401 KIS, the negative GDP quarter, the worst stock market 100-day performance since Nixon. These are not the outcomes of a genius strategist. These are the outcomes of a man who has never personally experienced the consequences of his own decisions because there has always been someone else left to pay the bill. Then there is Pat's argument, which is the most structurally important thing said in the entire conversation, and it deserves the most attention. Pat's point is that Trump is not the architect of what is happening. Trump is the noise. The real architects are the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, Peter Thiel, Stephen Miller, and the broader network of anti-democratic ideologues who have been planning this for decades. Trump is the 6'11" clod-hopping center forward being banged into the penalty area while all the corners come raking in and the defenders are occupied with him. The playmakers, the ones who actually know what they are doing and what they want, are sliding the ball into the net while everyone is watching Trump. And what they want is not to make America great again. Pat said it clearly. They want to crumble the United States into a pile of dust and rebuild it as an oligarchy. And the evidence for this is not conspiracy theory. Peter Thiel has literally said that democracy is incompatible with freedom. Anti-democracy is not a slur being applied to these people. It is their stated position. The Steve Caller's mental health argument is also worth taking seriously because it is the most clinically grounded part of the conversation. The Goldwater Rule, named after Barry Goldwater, is the professional psychiatric principle that says you should not diagnose a public figure without examining them in a clinical setting. That rule has been challenged by a succession of mental health professionals, including Bandy Lee, a Yale psychiatrist who has argued that the Goldwater Rule was never intended to prevent clinicians from speaking out about public dangers. What the callers on this program describe, the weave, the anemic aphasia, the nighttime deterioration, the Adderall dependency alleged by former apprentice crew member Noel Kasler, the dementia that also affected his father, these are not definitive diagnoses. They are observations made by people with professional experience of the behaviors being described. And the question O'Brien posed is a fair one. If conventional political analysis cannot explain a 104% tariff or the rejection of a 0 for 0 offer, perhaps the explanation is not political at all. Perhaps it requires a different kind of understanding entirely. The signal security breach moment is also worth pausing on because the caller's point about it is devastating in its simplicity. The largest security breach in American history, cabinet members discussing military strike plans on a consumer messaging app that included a journalist, was old news within 2 weeks because Trump announced the tariffs. And the tariffs will be old news within 2 weeks because something else will happen. This is the mechanism Pat described. Not just Trump's personal chaos, but the deliberate use of that chaos as a distraction engine. Every new outrage buries the last one. Every new crisis makes the previous crisis feel like ancient history. And while everyone is looking at whatever is on fire this week, the longer-term project of dismantling democratic institutions, gutting federal agencies, concentrating power in the executive, and removing the guardrails that were supposed to make this impossible continues without anyone having enough attention left to stop it. This is Fool's Ballot. Hit the like button, drop your thoughts in the comments below, subscribe to the channel if you are not already there, and share this one because the Project 2025 conversation is one that everyone needs to be having right now. I will see you in the next one.